But Jira, isn't this the fourth time you've gushed about the goddamn Spider-Man set? No, it's the third. Anyways, I thought it'd be fun to talk about my favorite cards in the set and gush a bit more. I did this for Foundations and I thought it was fun, but I was just too busy with my other channel to do one for Aether Drift, and by the time Tarkir and Final Fantasy came along, I was working on EDH guides and was worried that it was too much of a gap between the Foundations one and, so on and so on. Anyways, I don't feel like working on the next EDH script today, so you're getting this instead. These aren't in any particular order, and there's no real theme to it. It's just 10 cards that I like, with some honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about. Note that I'm super EDH or Commander brained or whatever, so these are all within the context of Commander specifically. So I'm not going to have any insight as to if these cards are good in Standard or Modern, or if they're broken in Draft, or so on or so forth, because Commander's the only format I play. With that being said, let's get started on my top cards from Spider-Man. First, I figured I would start with some honorable mentions. These are cards that I like, but don't have much to say about, or didn't quite make the cut. I really love Grendel's art, and I think a Symbiote Dragon is so fucking cool. But it's just a basic Death Touch flyer. It's not that great. I realize it's a starter deck card, but I don't want to put a card on here just for the art and type, Pumpkin Bombs is a fun politics card that can backfire if your opponent doesn't play along and just sacrifices it or keeps it around and doesn't do anything with it, but I still think it's a fun card with interesting design.
Hi, different audio quality Jira here because I forgot about a card. Grasping Tentacles is a pretty fucking fun mill spell that also steals an artifact from your opponent's graveyard. There's just not a ton to say about it. I just think it's a really cool card in general. There's just not tons to say, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Costume Closet is really fun in a Proliferate deck, and I honestly could see this shooting up in price in the future. Or should I say, web shooting up in price? Am I right? Guys? No? Okay, fine, whatever. The Peter Parker half of this card is nothing special. It just makes a small spider token, which makes her a decent early game blocker, while also giving your spider support an early game spider to work with. What I really like is the other side, which gives all of your legendary spells web slinging. Note, it's not just legendary creatures, this applies to legendary artifacts, enchantments, sorceries, and so on. It's a fun keyword that lets you cheat in massive spells with some of your blockers or smaller attackers, and it has so many directions to take it. You can make it a Spider-Man flavored deck and play all the Spider-Men that you like. You can make it a fun little Legendary Matters deck that cares for non-creatures as well. You can mix in some of the Survivor mechanic from Duskmourn. You can mess with saddles and vehicles. It's a very deck that seems like a lot of fun. I like that they specified that it has to be colored solely because they knew people's first thought was going to be cheating in, annoying as hell Eldrazi, and ruining the game. Possibly my favorite card in the set, and one of my favorite commanders of recent time. The Norman half is nice, being a cheap commander that you can get in with some early damage that also fuels discard strategies, as well as giving you some decent graveyard setup. While the Goblin half is so fucking fun. Giving all of your cards mayhem is fun enough, since it lets you do some wacky stuff with discarding cards. But the fact that it also reduces all of your graveyard cost by 2 makes it offer a lot of variety in building. Flashback, Disturb, Mayhem, Skeletons, Retrace. There's just a lot of stuff you can do to mix and match these to make a unique deck. I love commanders that are good, but also allow for build variety, so not everyone's deck is the same. I want to do an EDH guide on this so bad, it's so fucking fun. I love Imposter Syndrome so much, but there's not tons to say about it. I love weird copying effects, and the fact that it doesn't keep them legendary opens a lot of doors for some wacky and weird effect stacking. I don't think it's going to be a staple in all of my decks or anything, but I do really like it, and can see myself getting to the point where I just shove this in a lot of blue decks in general, because I just think it's a fun card and leads to some wacky scenarios. Gushed about it before, but I fucking love the art on this card, especially the colors, man. As for the card itself, it's a bit expensive mana-wise, but Death Touch Lifelink is always a fun keyword combo, and I love the Bolas's Citadel type effect on it, while also being more balanced than Bolas's Citadel, since first off, it's easier to remove, and second, you have to either wait a turn or give it haste in order to make use of it. I'm definitely adding this to any deck with a life gain theme, and would recommend it 100% in any of those decks. I don't like it as a commander, but that's just because I have a bias against one color commanders to begin with. Otherwise, I fucking love this card, man. Okay, Parker Luck may not be the best card ever or anything, but I think it's fun. A political card you can use on yourself to get some extra card advantage and make deals with other players, or you can target a dragon or dinosaur player to make someone else lose a lot of life from that player's huge spells. It's a varied and fun card that I could see myself putting in a bunch of black decks for the fun of it. It's especially good in political decks, I think. A lot of the things I talked about with Imposter Syndrome also applies here, but to a lesser extent. The Spider Legend rule part is worthless for 99% of decks, but the second effect has a lot of fun applications in a lot of decks. It's not exile, it's anywhere other than your hand. So graveyard effects from the top of your library, from your exile, from an opponent's top deck or graveyard with a stealing effect, or their exile, or their hand if you have something wacky that can do that. It's a really fun card. And I'm just a sucker for copy effects, so of course I'm going to really like this card. I don't know what else to say. Speaking of copying effects, Jackal is a Simic commander I think that's honestly neat. I know we've had cards like this in the past, but caring about copying a creature with a specific mana value while also making it bigger makes it really interesting and fun to me. Having to manage your counters well, having to include effects to remove counters so you can tweak its power just right to copy the right things, trying to figure out the correct order to cast spells from your hand, it's really cool. It may be a bit too big-brained to be a deck that I would enjoy, but I love the card and I think it's really cool design space. If you know me, you know I'm a sucker for self-mill, and this guy's great at it. Semi-avoiding a feels-bad moment of milling the wrong thing, while also being flexible with how many you look at since it relies on the damage it deals. Its second effect is also funny and can get out of hand, and I love that if it's your commander, you can exile it for its own effect from your graveyard, and then put it in the command zone instead to reuse later. It's a really cool card, and I just really like it. I don't know what else to say about it. Last copy card, I promise. Yes, it's a Worstronic Resonator, but I still think it's a neat card and I like it, okay? It's good in Proliferate decks, only costs 1 mana. I just like it. I don't know, there's not tons to say about it, but I will slot this into a bunch of decks I like, especially ones with a Proliferate Matters theme, or where copying an effect would be crazy in general, like on your commander or whatever. Mr. Negative is a really fun take on life gain. Normally life gain decks want to gain as much life as possible to either pay for insane effects as a resource, or make a creature that gets stronger the more life you gain bigger, or to get a grind game going, but Mr. Negative makes you consider how much life you gained and have. If you're at 200 plus life and swap with someone with a full 40, you'll not only draw 160 cards and lose, but even if that wasn't the case, your opponent has such high life that it's going to be harder to take them out without commander damage. It's an interesting take where you want to be at a reasonable higher amount than your opponents, but not so much that it'll cost you to draw too much or to get an opponent to have way too much life to take out. It's a really cool and interesting design to me, especially with Blink and Recursion as a sub-theme to do wacky stuff with repeating the effect to make you swap life all over the place. I think it's really cool. I don't know, I just like it. So those are my favorite cards in the Spider-Man set. I honestly think there's a lot to love here, and so many interesting cards that make for very fun additions to decks, as well as a bunch of interesting commanders that I want to make. I know this set gets a bad reputation, and everyone's hating on it and says it's the worst set of all time, but I think it's one of the most fun that I've had with ages in terms of cool stuff that I want to add to tons of my decks. give it a chance and look for a bunch of really cool stuff that you can work with from here. I'm sure you can find something that will make one of your decks really cool, or make one of your decks better at the very least.